Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. I thought I would do a second video today to bring you up to date about some of the trees I've been falling, and some of the issues I've been having. I'll swing around here and show you where we're at. As you can see, I have fallen a hardwood and then two big pine trees. These are all part of me clearing for my right-of-way to get power in from that. I'm gonna get up here so I can see that pole over there. They got to set a pole in here. The first two come down with very little difficulty. I put come-alongs on them and brought them down here into the valley, cleaned everything up. I'm just getting ready now. I think I'm going to try with the pickup truck to pull out some of these shorter 8-foot ones. I've got a friend coming over with a bobcat when it dries up a bit. We've had quite a bit of rain here in eastern Tennessee, and we're going to try to get those other ones over to the mill, because those are 16s and 14-foot logs, so they're fairly heavy. But some of the problem that I'm encountering is the issue of getting that last big pine tree down. And I know there's a lot of very experienced fellers here that if they're not watching, you probably know. So what I want to do is I want to show you kind of what I'm up against. I've talked to one of my friends here in Tennessee, and he's explained, you know, the process of bringing it down. Although I don't fall trees every day for a living, and so I don't have always all the equipment to do this. There, give you another angle. I mean, that tree was a long tree. I got a 16, 12, another 16, and then 3/8 out of that one. Come up here. Now here's the issue with this particular tree. It is leaning back that way. And on top of that, you've got this nasty little hardwood that is wrapped right around this tree. So it starts out on one side of the tree. As it goes up, it starts coming around to the other side, and the limbs are out. And of course, on this pine tree, all the limbs are pretty much on the side that it's leaning on. And so that is my last two trees that I've got to get down in order to get my main power line pole, which there's a red stake down in there. That's where the pole's going. And of course, right behind me is the main transformer. Well, I don't want to fall a tree back on that power pole. It's the last thing I want. And so the main thing is how to get this down. Now I know there's a whole issue with come-alongs and whatnot, and I've been using those. But this one here, I'll come over, just kind of stand on the side hill. This one looks like it has about a 3-foot lean back that way. And of course, because it's wrapped in around, the limbs are wrapped in around that pine tree, that's going to create some problems, especially if it gets hooked up in the other limbs up there. And so I've got one of my friends coming over tomorrow. He's done a lot of this. He's going to have a look at it. Still thinks it's possible just to do it with, if we can get our tie on up high enough with our come-alongs and whatnot, so we can get some purchase on it to pull. But that's going to be probably one of my most difficult falls yet, if I can get this one down. And it's about 18, 20 inches across on the butt. So it's a big tree as far as weight. You can see up there where the trees have been rubbing together really hard and actually, rubbed right into the tree itself, the pine tree. And so, I mean, that little hardwood will help hold it from going back, but I want it to go down in that valley. And so, yeah, I got an issue here that I've got to try to remedy. If you have any suggestions, you can post them in the comments. But until then, if I ever do get the thing down, or when I get it down, I'll bring you up to speed on that. But that's really the last of the big pine trees that I'm concerned about here that are in the main right-of-way to get my power through here. You can see there's the stake for where the pole is going to go, and so they've got to have 20 feet each way, and there's the main pole. So if I stand right on the pole where the pole is going, you can see that tree, that pine tree right there, it's about 18 feet or so, but definitely the limbs are right in the line. They're within the 20-foot tolerance. You're supposed to have at least 20 feet, so they're not going to run a line until that tree is down. So I've even contacted the Power Commission. They haven't got back to me yet about, will they come and knock it down for me, seeing how it's part of their trying to get their power in as well. So anyway, I will keep you up to date. Just a couple other things you can see down there in the valley. I'm working on my third rank of hardwood. I didn't realize there was going to be that much hardwood coming out of the few trees that I cut down in here on this bank to try to clear up the right-of-way. And of course that other pile is just a bunch of limbwood, pine limbwood. I'm going to try to use that in the future, maybe to burn out stumps or whatever, campfires for the kids and whatnot. So that's where we are. I appreciate you joining me today, and I will keep you updated. And until next time, you have a great day, and like and subscribe. Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. It's been a few days since I posted. It's Friday the 25th. I wanted to give you an update on what I've been doing. There's been some activity here around the mill, so I'll bring you up to speed. I've got on the mill right now another 3 big logs. There's going to be a couple smaller logs over there, just a very short log there, and then the butt end of a tree. I'll explain that in a minute. But here are my 3 latest logs. Now these 2 that have the painted ends on are actually the last 2 that are from the 6 that were on the mill that my friend brought up with a skid steer loader and set on. So I'm going to start milling those hopefully today and work on those. But over there you can see those are the 2x10s I've been working on, milling out of those bigger logs. I've got somewhere right around 35 2x10s already by 16 out of those trees that I've been milling, and you can do the math at close to $50 a piece. Doesn't take long to add up, and that's not counting. I think I've got about 4 2x12 by 16s on there as well. There's another couple $100 and a bunch of 2x4. So I've been milling out fairly consistently and working on those 16 footers, which are these larger logs. This is the last 14-foot log right here. That will hopefully be the last of the 14 footers that I need for my first floor. And then this is the that's a 12-foot length one there. The rest of these are running 12s and 16s. Those are pretty much be what I'll be milling out of the bigger logs now as I start working on the floor joists for the 2nd and 3rd floor. Now to explain this particular butt cut here, that's about 36 inches or so long, but it was a tree that was way up over on the far hill, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll walk over there in a minute. But this was the last of the trees that were in the right-of-way to bring power into the property, and that was a particular tree that was leaning back towards the power lines, and so I wanted to get some of the, I wanted to, as much as possible, get that taken care of without it falling on the power lines. And so the Power Commission here locally actually came out and looked at it and said they would take it down and take care of paying for that. And I said, look, if you cut it down, I will clean it up. Well, when they cut it down, they got it down obviously and put it down there in the valley, but they cut it almost 3 feet off the ground, which wasted a lot of lumber right there. And so, being the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman, I think what I'm going to try to do is pull it up on my mill, and I should be able to get a bunch of 2x4s, because there's some form work I'm going to be doing on my outbuilding, and the cement walls are only going to be about 32 inches high or so. So this should make a pile of 2x4s, and I can always use them later for smaller stuff, because you're always using shorter 2x4s. And so that's why that butt cut was not over on that tree there, and so I lost the 3 feet off that. But hey, the tree's down. I yarded these out with my pickup truck the other day, or yesterday I guess it was, with my pulley system, and so got them down here onto the loading dock. And I've got a couple of 8-foot, 9-foot logs there that I'm going to make some studding out of as well. And so I've got, you can see over here, I've got a pile of stuff that needs to be burned, or at least taken care of. I usually burn my debris, and so I'm waiting for a nice calm day. And this is some of my hardwood I've got to split up. But yeah, I've got some stuff that need to take care of. But I will come over here. This is more informational, the first part of this video, and then I'll set up and maybe we can get a log on the mill and cutting. But for those of you who are following, I recognize that these videos are not going to be for everybody. I've had some comments saying, hey, too much talk, not enough action. And well, I appreciate the fact that some people tune on to see the mill in operation, and that's good. I do some of that, but part of this channel is not just seeing things in operation. It's also partly about kind of keeping up with what I'm working through in the process, and these are things that maybe you, if you ever undergo or undertake doing something like this, things that you're going to have to encounter as well. So there's more to it than just the quote-unquote action. And so this is some of it. And as you can see now, we've got a pretty clear run over to that power pole. And that last big pine tree that they took down was such a big help to me. Even though, I had to do a little bit of work with my pickup truck to get it down. I'll just come up here. I am just about at the stage now when I do get ready to pull my building permit. I'll be able to bring the power in pretty much at the same time. And so there's a little bit of debris here, limb wood and stuff I've got to clean up. This is what I worked on mostly yesterday afternoon. That was the last of the pine trees I cut down, but this is the stump. I clean it off here. It's a pretty sizable stump. Used my new still chainsaw to whittle it down so it wasn't sticking up too much. So they took that one down, and there was a little hardwood right beside it right here, and that was the problem. That little hardwood was wrapped right around this tree here, and so they felled it down into there, and that's pretty much the last. The only other trees are that nice big white oak, which I'm going to leave, but everything else will allow me to, now that all of those trees are down, we've taken down probably 8 or 9 big trees to get this accessible. And so I just wanted to give you an update on that, because I think I'll take down that tree, that hardwood tree right there, because I've broken off the limbs up at the top, and it's probably eventually going to have to come down, and I'll cut it up and rank it over there with the rest. So we'll come back here, and I will do a set up here and maybe do a short video of milling out that next log. But it is all a process, let's just put it that way. If you're undertaking this, especially if you're doing milling, cutting your own trees and whatnot, well, you're saving money. There's just a lot of sweat, labor equity going into it. So you need to be aware of that. And so I wanted to keep you posted about that. Just as far as for those of you who are watching about me trying to identify that mystery wood that I've been working on, I had a guy look at it who cuts wood, and he's pretty convinced it was elm. I know some of you are still saying it's a gum tree or pignut hickory or something like that. He looked at it and thought pignut hickory, but then kind of concluded that it was elm. So it still remains to be. It's the mystery wood, that's for sure. I'll show you now that it's started to dry what it looks like. But yeah, it's one of those things. You can see here, there's the bark where it's cut. But the grain itself, zero in here, the grain itself, that dark center grain right here was almost pink when that came out. But you can look down it. It's staying fairly straight because I've got it stacked with some weight on it. But we'll see. Like I said, he thinks it's elm. And so I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. I'm going to go ahead and set up the mill here and get going, and I'll start another video in a bit. Until then, I'll be back. Okay, I want to get that log flipped over. Now we've got a flat side on it. I'll put my supports in there just in case it flips on over.